good morning. It is early o'clock. Let's see what time it is exactly. It is 5:13 a.m. I'm about to go do a little sunrise hike in Joshua Tree National Park, and I thought I would take you with me. So I got everything packed. I'm just bringing a little bit of water, and I am boiling some water to bring some hot tea with me. And I just started my car up so it's nice and warm, and I'm about to get going. So I'm bringing like 20 ounces of water, a whole bunch of hot tea, and then snacks in case I get hungry. This is just almonds and a banana. And then the last thing I'll do is, since I'm going by myself, I'm gonna write Murphy a note and let him know what time it is now, where I'm going hiking, and what time I should be back. So it's 5:18 right now. I'm gonna be doing Orion Mountain, and I think it takes like around 2 hours, but I'm gonna wanna hang out and watch the sunrise for a while. So I'm gonna tell him 5, 6, 7. I think I'll be home by like 9, but I'll tell him to be worried by like 10 and come look for me if I'm not back by 10. All right, let's go. So I am driving in. The national park is only like 5 minutes from where I live, but the park itself is huge. So the part of the park that I'm going in is like maybe a half an hour away. Still got a little bit of driving to do. Oh, that's bright. There, can you see me? All right, I just got here. I'm the only car in the parking lot, so I think I'm on my own on this trail. But the skies are already starting to lighten a little bit. You can see some like rock formations and stuff behind me. So this should be pretty fun. I just heard a coyote. I'm like 1 minute into the hike and I'm already like, I'm scared. This will be totally fine. The sun's starting to peek up. Alright, it's getting a little lighter. You can start to see behind me. And I think I'm going right up there. I think. I don't know. I'm only like maybe 20 minutes into the hike, and it's supposed to be, I think, over an hour, so I also could be very wrong. Who knows? Headlamp is officially off, and the skies are getting real pink. But look out here. So far, this is a pretty awesome hike. Made it, and it's epic. Oh, no words. Alright, I'm gonna sit up here for a little while, drink some tea, take some layers off. Oh, I overestimated how cold it was gonna be. It's not really that cold. I'm gonna sit here and enjoy. So I lied. Now that I'm not moving anymore, it's a little bit chilly up here. And now there's a bit of a breeze. So this hot tea is real nice. So I've lived in Joshua Tree just over 2 weeks now. So as part of this video, I wanted to tell you a little bit about like what I like and don't like about living in the desert so far. And I gotta say, like, the number one thing about living in Joshua Tree is Joshua Tree. Like, this is a pretty incredible morning.
feel like this entire video is gonna be like me spamming you with sunrise footage, but like, come on, it's so beautiful up here. And I'm completely alone. Like I didn't see one other person on the trail. It's just me and the coyotes up here. Pretty magic. All right, I'm just finishing up a second cup of tea and then I'm gonna start heading down. All right, the next thing that I really like about desert Joshua Tree living is that it's sunny all the time. Which way does this trail go? Wrong. I think it's supposed to go this way. I was so excited about the sunrise, I forgot to pay attention to which way I came up. All right, this is not a good start. Get me off this mountain. All right, here's the trail. We're good. So the next thing that I really enjoy about living in the desert and Joshua Tree is that it's sunny all the time. So I am originally from New England. I lived there my whole life until now. So I have like 5 weather apps on my phone. There's like one for the radar, one for the most accurate temperature, one that has the furthest out forecast. Like, you know, weather's a big thing in New England. It changes all the time and it's like wildly different from day to day. Like here it's always sunny, like always sunny. It hasn't rained since I've been here, which I know I've only been here 2 weeks, but still, like every day I wake up and it's beautiful and sunny. And the temperature is pretty much the same. But that kind of leads me into my next thing, which is there are kind of like wild temperature swings here. So it's desert, so there's no humidity in the air, meaning that when the sun's not around, it's cold. So it's usually been like mid-60s during the day, sometimes a little bit higher, and like 30s at night. So like right now I'm wearing all these layers and all these clothes, but in like an hour and a half, I'll probably take it all off and just be wearing a tank top. So the next thing about living in Joshua Tree is that it's a pretty small town, kind of in the middle of nowhere. Like you have great access to the park, but the town of Joshua Tree is pretty small. That said, there is a lot of stuff that I'm grateful is here in Joshua Tree, like just in the little downtown area. There's like a natural grocery store, there's a couple yoga studios, there's some good restaurants. Like there is stuff in the town that I really appreciate, but you also have access to a lot around you. So on either side of Joshua Tree is Yucca Valley and 29 Palms, which are both bigger towns. So if you need access to something like a Home Depot or, you know, a bigger grocery store, all that stuff is there and like a 10-minute drive away. So you have access to things around you so you don't feel like super isolated out in the desert. And you also have pretty close access to some like bigger cities. It's 40 minutes to Palm Springs. It's less than a couple hours to LA. I've actually already been to LA once and it was like no big deal at all. San Diego's pretty close by. And then like Yosemite's close. You can get to Red Rock in Las Vegas pretty close. Like there's just a lot around and there's a lot of options for like day trips and things like that. So it helps to not feel so isolated like out in a tiny desert town. Hiking with my shoe untied. It seems like a bad move, but also I have these gloves on and I don't really feel like tying it. This is some lazy hiking. I'm going real slow. Oh, my hand is cold. So one downside to living out here for sure is the dryness of the air. So I am having kind of a hard time adjusting to it. My skin is like super dry. I'm thirsty all the time, like no matter how much water I drink. Like my nose feels really dry and my eyes feel really dry. It's just an adjustment for my body. Like one of the first days I was here, I just like took off all my clothes and kept slathering coconut oil all over myself until I felt like my skin was hydrated. I just was like a slimy mess. But it was so uncomfortable, like my skin felt like weird and dry and tight and I hated it. That's definitely been an adjustment and I think keeping myself like hydrated and my skin hydrated is definitely gonna be a challenge. But I also think maybe I will adjust. It's already gotten a little bit better just in the couple weeks that I've been here. Oh, one of the best things about living in the desert out in Joshua Tree, there are no mosquitoes. I can't emphasize enough like how awesome it is to not have a bunch of mosquitoes buzzing around you all the time. We spent this past summer in Acadia up in Maine, and it's like mosquito heaven there. I constantly had mosquito bites. It actually really does kind of detract from the experience for me, because when you're trying to just like enjoy a beautiful outdoor place, but there's just like little monsters biting you the whole time, it's not that fun. I am like really appreciating the fact that there are no tiny monsters trying to drink my blood here. Let me just talk about how I'm hiking with 2 untied shoes. I should really stop and tie these. Hang on. All right, shoes are tied. Continuing on. So one of the things that I think is going to probably end up being both a positive and maybe a negative about living in Joshua Tree is that we basically live in vacation land, right? There's not a lot of people who choose to make their permanent home in Joshua Tree like we have. There's a lot of visitors. So I think that's good in a way of like, you know, somebody who is on vacation brings like a certain energy and vibe and laid backness most of the time, which I think is a nice thing to have around you. But also that means like there's a lot of temporary people in town. It can get really crowded. It means that, you know, perhaps a lot of people who come won't be like permanent fixtures if you meet somebody cool. It can also mean that, you know, sometimes it can be a little bit annoying, and I know this just from like growing up in a tourist destination on Cape Cod and living in Acadia last summer. Like sometimes you're just like in a rush to get somewhere and you're trying to just like live your regular life, like go to work or whatever, and there's people just, you know, dragging along at their vacation pace, and you know, you need to pass them on the sidewalk or you need them to drive a little bit faster. So it makes it sound like I'm really impatient with people, but after a while, I think it can be kind of difficult to deal with everyone moving at vacation pace when you're trying to move at regular life pace. Woo! Oh, this is like the easiest trail and I'm falling all over myself. And my shoes are even tied right now. So another thing that I'm really enjoying about Joshua Tree is a lower cost of living. So before moving here, I lived, well, in a van, so that doesn't really count because that cost of living is very low. But I lived in and around Boston. I'm used to like sky high rents and the cost of living being like super, super high. So it's actually really refreshing to be in Joshua Tree, where I feel like things like housing are a little bit more affordable. So the last thing that I really enjoy about living in Joshua Tree, and it's honestly one of the primary reasons why we ended up here, is it's just got good energy to it. It's unlike anything I have ever really experienced, particularly like in the national park. Like when you get into the bowels of Joshua Tree, like where I am right now, I don't really even know how to explain to you how it feels if you haven't been here. There is like a stillness and a calm and like a positivity and just like a good feeling energy all around. I came out here with Murphy, I think it was a week ago, that when it was the full moon, we did a little full moon hike. We scrambled up to the top of some rocks and just like sat there for a while, and I was just like blown away. I was just like, do you feel that? Like it's intense and it feels good. Like it's very energizing to me and it has a good vibe to it. It makes me happy, it makes me smile. I just love it here, and I love that we have such good access to like such an incredible place. I'm really happy here so far. So speaking of Murphy, ooh, jump down. A lot of people have been asking me like where he is because he hasn't been in a video lately. He's around, don't worry. I tried to get him to come on this hike this morning, but he is not a morning person. I'm a total morning person. Like this is my time. I feel like my body and brain are like high functioning in the morning, and they're complete like whatever that means in the evening. Couldn't convince him to get up at 5 a.m. with me and come do this hike, but he missed out. But I'll convince him to be in a video soon. He's good, he's around, doing great. All right, I'm almost done with this hike. I'm pretty sure where I parked is like right there. So I don't have too much farther to go. But I'm gonna wrap this video up here because my hand is really cold from holding the camera and I wanna put it in my pocket. But thank you for coming along on my little sunrise hike and hearing some of my reflections about living in Joshua Tree. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, and I put out new videos every week, so subscribe down below and I'll see you on the next one. Bye. Ooh. Bye friends. So let's do that again. Ooh. How do I explain this? I don't exactly know what to say. This is really pretty. Just walking by myself in Joshua Tree. Morning havocs by myself. I'm making songs and they're real good. Making my own song in Joshua Tree. I hope there's no one out here listening to this horrific song I'm making. And the foot. No, my tongue's too cold to work. What time is it? How long does this hike take?